So as always, today also we have some warm-up activity before we get into our session. So I hope every one of us love to play games. So at least most of us will have at least one game in our phone. Most of us used to play. So even though we are all adult, we just love to play games and just to relax ourselves. So let us just start with that small game. Just a minute. Yeah. So we are just going to play a game. So what is the thing in this is, first I will be just displaying you certain words and I will just give you few seconds. Maybe we can have 30 seconds, okay, or 20 seconds, because it's very less number of words I've just put in the slide. So let it be 20 seconds. Just have a look on the words. Okay, it's just a memory game. Okay, it's a
Okay.
memory game. So just see the words and try to recall or just try to give as much as words you can remember. Okay, ma'am? Yes. So shall we go into it? I'll just display certain words, just go through the words, and when I'm just switching off the slide, so you have to try to recall as many words you can just recall. You have to tell me. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So better you can just type in the chat, or better you write in a notebook.
Okay.
Not no need to just type in the chat, because in chat also it might take some time. So just you take one notebook, and after I have shown the words, when I'm just hiding the slide, so you can just try to recall and enlist how many number of words you can write, and let us see that. Okay. If you just
Okay.
tell me the numbers, that is enough. So it's just a warm-up game. That's it. Yes, ma'am. Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
So sorry,
Yes.
teachers. Again, I have just put
Yes.
some bio terms, but okay, some are general also, so you can easily do it. Very common terms only. Okay, yeah. So here is a slide for you. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
20 seconds over. Yeah, now you can start writing in your notebook. I will be just showing I will be showing set of images. Okay. So I will just keep it, no, when 20 seconds are given, we were able to do only 3 words, right? Maximum maybe 4 or 5,
Three or
like that.
four. Yes,
If
ma'am.
it is
Five.
given
Five.
20
Five.
seconds. Yeah, 20 seconds, minimum 3, maximum 5, we were able to do it. So the same 20 seconds, I'm going to keep it for the image based slide. Okay. So this is not the same thing what I have just listed here. It is not the leucoplast, it is
Okay.
not the same. It is
Yes, ma'am.
something different images, different set of images. Okay. So again,
Yes.
20 seconds time. So are you ready, teacher?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So your time starts now. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes. Try to recall, just write the name of the images, whatever you have. So, fine. So, which was easy for you? Words or
Images,
images?
ma'am. Images, ma'am.
Images.
Images. Images.
Most of us prefer images. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So that is what we are getting into our session, that why diagram is very, very important. Okay. Why
Okay.
diagram in biology or in science is very, very important. So that is where here we are here. So that's why I have shown the images as well as I just given the words also. So when you see, and one more thing, organizing things also matters. So in the first case, the words I didn't arrange it in the list form. Suppose if I would have arranged in list form, you would be able to do it much more. It
Yes.
was not arranged. It was scattered. So even that also matters, which tells us why using the blackboard in a proper way is very, very important. So we
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that during our beard and everywhere, they will test how we are using the blackboard. So that is the important. So how do you organize the content in the blackboard is also very, very, very important. So why is it very important? Why do we give much concern to it? Why do we need to do it? We know, yes, when compared to words, diagram has great reasoning. Okay. So when we talk about drawing activity is always superior than reading or writing. So you can see that most of the children love when it is a comic books or some kind of reading, even the reading books, if it has lots of diagrams, some comics, they love to read it. So even it is same for us. If rather than just have one book with full of content, if it has lots of pictures in it, we love to read the textbooks. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So drawing always has superior power when compared to reading and writing. So why do we need to? One is yes. Why do we need to use the blackboard in a proper way, and why do we need to give much importance to the drawing? So it plays very, very important in the reasoning. So as how we discuss no teaching methodologies, you can't say how do we choose the teaching methodology? How do we choose that particular teaching? Okay, for this session, I'm just going to use this. Based on what criteria we use choose the teaching methodology? Come on, teacher.
Content, ma'am.
Content.
Topic,
Okay,
ma'am.
content. Okay. Then only the content
Learners, ma'am, based on the learners also, ma'am.
based on the learner. Say for
Student.
example, yeah, student. Say one there might be some content. Say for example, in our class 10 textbook, when we are learning circulatory system, lymphatic system is also given. Okay. It's just given in only one paragraph, but it's very difficult for a teacher to make the children to understand what is it. So may I know how many of you have really used some diagrams to explain the lymphatic system so far? Is there anyone who you used lymphatic system to represent in a diagrammatic way? Is there anyone? Anyone tried doing it?
Are you asking any specific lymphoid organs like that, ma'am, or just a
Not
lymphatic
organ.
system?
In order
Okay.
to explain lymphatic systems, have you tried explaining through some kind of images or diagrams on the board? Yes? No?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No.
Oh, kindly
No.
try it in the upcoming class. Or almost
Okay.
we have started this live process. No, kindly try it with the help of diagram. That helps them a lot. Why I will tell you. If you just take the textbook, I just you refer it so that if you have your textbook, you can also take it. I'll I'm just trying to help you how it helps us to explain as well as helps the students to understand it in a better way. So in that, it is given through the pores that is present in the walls of capillary. Some amount of plasma, proteins, and blood cells escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissue to form the tissue, fluid, or lymph. Okay. Unless you draw and show, there is some space. There is some. I may just draw. So you need, we know that capillary is very thin. It is
Capillaries.
only
Yes, ma'am.
one cell thick, right? So you just tell them in between these cells, they have small openings, pores. When the cells are arranged, you have small openings. This is the small pores that is present. So tell them when the blood rushes into the capillary, so the blood exerts pressure on the walls of the capillary, yes or no? So the blood exerts pressure on the wall of the capillary. So when there is a pressure, okay, exerted on the walls of the capillaries, there is some small pores. So because of the pressure exerted on the walls as well as because of the presence of the pores, some plasma. So you have cells here, okay. Just tell them these are cells and you have spaces in between the cells, which is called as intercellular space. So when the blood is rushed into the capillaries, these small substances like protein, okay, so plasma, they get escaped into this space. Here, how it gets escaped, not the blood is going to escape because blood is red in color because of the red blood cells, and you have some component of the blood which is called plasma. Okay, so through these pores, some plasma, just use some, yeah. So along when the blood flows into it, some plasma gets escaped and it gets filled in these spaces. Along with the plasma, some of the proteins also gets escaped and it occupies this space. So this plasma which get escaped out of the capillaries, which is there now in the intercellular spaces has to be collected back. If not, what happens? Swelling happens. So it has to be collected back. So that is the role of lymphatic system, which helps to drain out these
Train out.
substance back and bring it to the blood. So if you teach this concept through the diagram, they will understand it better rather than just explaining the lines that is given in the textbook. Really, it is very difficult. Maybe if you have transacted just through the content, through lecture method without diagram, in a class of students strength with 40, only 5 or 6 would have understood, but their perception is different. They would have imagined in some other form. Understood? Yes. So
Yes, ma'am.
that has to be, so if you are explaining along with this diagram, then the lymphatic system also they will understand in a better way. So this is one area. So like this, in many places we have certain content which has to be aligned with the diagram. Okay, fine. So this is one example I shared here. So now, why do we need to, how do we use different methodologies? One is, yes, I know, okay, for this content, I have to first explain the concept. Then I have to use some video or I have to draw something or I have to involve the students by just in some activities. So how do I just select the teaching methodology? One is content. Suppose if certain concepts, if the children used to understand in an easy way just by explaining because they are learning from the lower classes, we might not need some other activities to be conducted. So it is purely depend on content as well as type of learners. So why do we consider about type of learners? Even now we have experienced that when the words are given, it's difficult for us to connect. When the image is given, okay. So that is where what we discussed yesterday, concrete and the abstract knowledge. Okay, concrete and abstract knowledge. So that knowledge is very important. So you always, we will be say for example, immediately when I say apple, can you imagine apple in your mind?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
What color of apple you imagined in your mind?
Red.
Red color.
Red. Is there anyone who imagined green apple in your mind?
No.
Yes, ma'am. No, right? So from the childhood, apple means we have learned, okay, that will be red in color. Yes, so that is the normal. Okay, apple means it will be red in color. So that is the concrete one. And then we go for the generalization. Then you add something. Okay, apple means it can be red in color, it can be green in color. Okay, so that acclimatization of knowledge we are providing them. But for that, first they should know, okay, this is how the apple looks. So when I say one word, each one of us can think in different ways. Say, for example, when I say crane, I have the same in the later part of my slide, but anyway, let me just check that. When I say crane, what comes to your mind? Crane. C-R-A-N-E, crane. Yes, what comes to your mind? I'll write crane.
Something machine to pull or lift something.
Lift.
Okay.
It will help in lifting
Machine.
weight, ma'am.
Lifting weight. Okay. Yes, any other?
Bird.
Any
White
other?
color.
Bird. Yes.
Bird.
So, but when I say crane, immediately what comes to our mind is only about the machine or the vehicle which pulls heavy weighted objects. Why? Why not the bird? Why not the bird? What do you think it as? Why it's not a bird comes to your mind first? What can be the reason? Or what do you think it as the reason?
Because in everyday life we are seeing at least one crane, no, ma'am, minimum. Yes,
Yes. So
visualizing
in
facts.
our day-to-day life, yes. So in our day-to-day life, we have more exposure to this vehicle or to this crane, not the bird. So now here comes repetition. What we are being exposed frequently. Okay, that only goes and registers in our mind. So when I say some one word which has already been exposed for n number of times, that only comes to us first. Okay, fine. So visual is very important. So when we talk about the learners, I think some of you would have attended 6, 7, 8 sessions. Is there anyone who attended 6, 7, 8 sessions?
No, ma'am.
No, no one. Okay, then okay. So we have something called work model, which means we have different types of learners. So this is the diagram I just want to show. Crane means someone think about the crane machine, some might think about the bird. Okay, it is based on the perception what they have got it. So when we talk about learners, the learners can be a kinesthetic learner, they can be a visual learner, and they can be a semantic learner. As I already told you, how do we do the teaching methodologies? You can't say that only one methodology I will use for this lesson. No. So similarly here, when the Howard Gardner put the multiple intelligence, we all studied multiple intelligence, right, ma'am, in our B.Ed. So every one of us know about the multiple intelligence. So can anyone tell me what is multiple intelligence? What the theory talks about? Any idea about that? If not, no problem. I will just no. Okay. So as like how we learned some educational theories, learning theories and all we learned. So in that they have put forth multiple intelligence theory, which means no person is. We used to say no. He has this intelligence. So he is intelligent in that particular area. So how do we say no person in the world has only one intelligence? So we are all intelligent in many aspects. Some can be good in singing, some can be good in drawing also. Okay, some can be good in math. Okay, some will be easily saying, say for example, I just want to put one screen for my window. So some will be very good in the spatial thinking. So they immediately say that for this maybe some 3 meter of cloth is required. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So each and every one of us has multiple intelligence in within us. So if I say a person, okay, this child will learn better if I give her activities. So he want to touch and do something. So kinesthetic learner. But you can't say that he's purely kinesthetic learner unless you explain them. Okay, like orally. Unless you explain the concept, they can't proceed with the kinesthetic learning, right? So it is not purely kinesthetic learning. So always image, visual as well as auditory knowledge. Okay, when they are listening, they are seeing something and listening to your instructions. That strengthens our memory. How it strengthens our memory? When I'm doing something, okay, so I'm just thinking on myself. Okay, you have given me some kit, science kit. Okay, you are just asking me, maybe we can take some electricity circuit, small one we used to give it for lower classes, right? So if you're giving me that and you are asking me to explore on my own, so one method is I can just do trial and error method. Okay, and I will come to a conclusion. Okay, but still I won't have more clarity because 4 to 5 times I did the trial and finally I just got one time that is clicked and the bulb is glowing. Okay, but now I am not again having more clarity because I have done the trial and error method. I don't know. Okay, somehow I tried, but this connection worked. So if the same thing has to be registered in our mind, in my mind, I have to do it again. The same sequence I have to, the same series of connection I have to do. Then only I will understand. Okay, the battery has to be connected here. The wire has to go to the positive and the negative terminal. Switch has to be there, and it has to be properly connected to the bulb. So for me to understand, it will take more time. Suppose the same activity, if the teacher is demonstrating. Okay, which will be easy? After seeing the teacher demonstrating and I'm doing it, or if I'm doing it on my own, which will be effective?
Doing on
Demonstrating in our
demonstration.
demonstration.
Demonstration, because you are directly taking in the concept. There is no error in that concept. But when I am doing trial and error method, I'm trying different sequences, but effective, but it takes some time for me to again understand the proper arrangement of the connection. But if the teacher is demonstrating and she is also explaining the role of each and every component of the circuit, so I'm just observing what she's doing, and visually I'm observing as well as I'm just listening to her and I'm understanding the concept, and kinesthetically again I am doing it. So the combination of these three is very, very important. Semantic means which is like orally, just listening. Okay. So these three things, which is not that a student is purely kinesthetic, a student is purely visual learner. No. So all these three has to go hand in hand. So that is what been mentioned in the multiple intelligence theory. Maybe when you find time, we have quite a lot of video that is available. If you're fond of listening to videos, seeing the videos, you can just put in the YouTube and you will get n number of very nice videos about the multiple intelligence. Or if you're a good person like in reading things, you can just read this theory. So that will definitely help us in during our class transaction. Okay, multiple intelligence is very, very important. That too in this 21st century, we need to know about it. So whenever you find time, teachers, you just kindly go through that. Okay, fine. So this is thing. Now, why is drawing such a powerful memory tool? So we have played the memory game. Okay, we can see that it reads our memory better than the words. So why is it a powerful memory tool? So it requires elaboration on the meaning of the term and translating the definition to a new form. Say, for example, if I'm just giving you that word we have seen, right? Stamen, then clearance or some what other
Ethereal.
crocodile or lizard. So when I have given the words, what you have done? First, you have read the word and you have translated the word in the picture form in your mind. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes.
immediately
Yes,
say, for example, if I'm giving any new term to you, which you have never come across, then you will go only by the word that is given. That too, that
Right.
word you will just try to inculcate in your mind. Okay, this is you will try to in this slide in this particular part of the slide. Okay, this word was there. So we used to again convert the words into pictorial form. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
So always
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
way,
ma'am.
even if it is a word, even if it is word, okay, even when we are listening to some lecture, okay, when we are listening, maybe in the session, whenever I'm just telling something, you used to connect it to your real life scenario. Say, for example, if I'm saying something we have to do in the classroom, immediately you will imagine your classroom. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
yes,
So whatever we do, whatever we are listening to it, always we will be trying to connect it to the image form. So that is what is meant. If it is a word, you need to elaborate the meaning of the term, and again you are just going to transform it to a new form or a new picture form. So it is if you're I'm just directly showing the picture, then the process is very short and it will reach your memory better and it will be there in your memory for a long time. Okay, so that is the reason why do we say is drawing is a powerful memory tool. And the it connects, it has more synaptic connections. So synapses we know. So when we do something in a repetition, okay, when I do some task in repetitive way, so whenever you ask me, say for example, in your school you have been given some duty, every year you will be doing that. Okay, let us just imagine that every year, say for example, maybe science exhibition, so you will be doing the science exhibition. So whenever I just call you and ask you, ma'am, how do you proceed? Immediately will be in position to say, okay, first we'll be just giving the information to the students and we'll be collecting the name of the students and we'll be shortlisting the project. So and so you'll be able to tell yes or no. So how that much, how you are able to say it's through the practice. So how much of practice you do, that much of memory strengthen happens in our brain. So similarly, whenever the students are learning, when it is two, either kinesthetic and the audio, or the visual and the audio. So always it should be in combination, not just the lecture method. So even though when we do lecture method, okay, we used to write something on the board. Yes. Why do we? When and all you will be using the blackboard? When you will be
For
using the
spell
blackboard?
checks,
Even though you
ma'am.
are, yes,
If we are using a new terminologies
For new
spell
terms, ma'am.
checking,
terminology. Okay.
okay.
Then what else?
Diagrams.
Diagram,
Flow charts, ma'am.
flow
Classifications
chart.
and all
Yes,
we can drive.
yes, yes. And most of us used to do it, but you people are not mentioning. So whenever we are teaching, say for example, I'm just talking about maybe meristematic tissue. Okay, so meristematic tissue has some characteristics in it. Okay, or let me make let me take easy topics so that other physics and chemistry teachers also might be knowing. Say for example, if I'm talking about the nucleus. Okay, cell organelle nucleus. So when I'm talking about the characteristic of a nucleus, what are the things that, okay, it has chromosome, it has genetic information, all these points we used to write on the board, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So even that helps them in our textbooks, that to class 9 and 10, you can see it is not given proper heading and it has been given. It's like a big paragraph. So it's difficult for the child to take the concept and organize it. But when we are writing it on the board, it will be very easy for them. So
Like key points we
without
can give
seeing the
them.
textbook, yes, key points. Without seeing the textbook, whenever you ask them, okay, what is nucleus, what is its function, they will be able to say the points, key points, whatever you have written on the board, rather than just looking into the textbook. So these are the places where the visual as well as the auditory listening helps. Okay, and that's how it strengthens the concept, and that is the reason why do we say that diagram is very important. So what is the role of teacher here whenever we are just drawing the diagram? So how we are supposed to do the drawing? So most of us maybe for some diagrams we used to draw, but some diagrams we used to skip, thinking that, okay, say for example, the structure of a flower that is given in the class 10 textbook. So just honestly, let us see how many of us used to draw the diagram on the board. So we used to think that, okay, this structure they would have learned in the lower classes. So they know the structure of the flower. Okay. So they know what is pistil, what is stamen, all the petals, sepals, all this they know. So let me just summarize it. How many of us are really drawing it on the board and doing it? In some places, we used to skip certain diagrams. Yes or no?
Yes,
Honestly,
ma'am.
we used to skip it, certain diagrams, which is very easy. Okay, they know it already, so why should I do it? But again, when we are doing it, again, we are strengthening the knowledge, strengthening the concept. So wherever it is possible, we have to draw. And one more thing is we already discussed, that is when it comes to science, they feel it very difficult with the equations, ray diagrams, and in biology, almost all the diagrams they feel very difficult, and the scientific terms. Now we have seen how to overcome this. So for the ray diagram, we have some sessions, and similarly for the equations, chemistry equations, we'll be having upcoming sessions, and we have seen how to make the science terminologies easy. So now, how to make the diagram easy? So how can we make it easy?
Ma'am, we have to draw the diagrams in a stepwise manner, ma'am. From the
Okay.
outer layer to the towards inside. When we are
Okay.
drawing itself, means instead of drawing completely and explaining them, we have to give importance for each and every parts in it by differentiating them while
Okay.
drawing itself. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, very good, ma'am.
Instead
That's
of a
what I
display.
want to say. Yes. So that is the most important part when we are doing it. Say, for example, the main role of a teacher is first to draw the diagram on the board. Okay, so when we are drawing, you would have seen that when we are finishing the diagram, the most of the students used to say that, ma'am, you are drawing very neatly, ma'am. It's very nice, ma'am. Even though it won't look like that for us, but students used to admire on that. Yes or no? Have you got all these comments in your classroom?
Sometimes, ma'am.
Yes,
Sometimes.
most of the
Yes.
students admire our drawing. So first thing is, as a science teacher, that was a biology teacher, we need to draw the diagrams on the board. And if possible, kindly use the color chalk. So that again will strengthen their memory. And as ma'am said, when you are drawing, never draw the diagram on the board. Yes. So always, as Saranya ma'am said, please don't finish one diagram and then explain. Don't do it. As we are drawing, okay, as we are drawing the diagram itself, we have to explain the concept. Okay. Say, for example, when ma'am saying when I will be drawing the heart, when she's drawing itself, she'll be telling, okay, it has 4 chambers. And you can see the heart, it has one more thick layer, pericardium. So when we are drawing each and every part of the diagram, that time itself we should say, okay, this is what this. So this is the function that it plays. So one more thing is, in our textbooks, we don't have a place where the functions will be mentioned. So what we can do, especially in the heart diagram, no, that unless they understand this, where this oxygenated blood goes, deoxygenated blood goes from right atrium or left ventricle. So these concepts, unless they are clear, it's very difficult for them. So go step by step. So tell them from the lungs from the lungs how the blood comes, from where it enters, why it enters to that particular chamber, and what is the function of the wall. So from just pumping from here, how it goes to the different parts of the body. So like that, if you are explaining step by step, even the heart diagram becomes very, very easy. And one more complicated diagram in our textbook is that male reproductive system. Female reproductive system, they'll be doing it. But when it comes to male reproductive system, previous years and all, they never test this male reproductive system. I think I can just stop my screen. I can just, because we are just discussing. So yeah, fine. So yeah. So when we are talking about this male reproductive system, no, they find it very, very difficult. And previous year and all, CBSE, the board exam, we have not got this particular diagram to be drawn. But some 3 years back, they asked this diagram to be drawn. Okay. So now this is again our turn to make them to draw in an easy way. So as ma'am said, I just want to point that only, because whenever you are drawing, either you come from inside to outside or outside to inside. In most places, we'll be drawing from outside to inside only. Most of the diagrams will be going from outside to inside. And even in the our environment lesson, okay, even the pyramid levels or food chain, whatever it is, please don't just ask them to refer the textbooks. You draw simple diagrams, or you can't draw the diagram of each and every organism. You write it at least. Grass, the deer, then tiger. So if you write that, no, so they will also follow you, and that will register in their mind in a better way. And when we talk about the fertilization that happens in the flowering plant, pollen tube germination. So again, so you start with they know the concept. You start when you are drawing itself, you say, okay, so we have where the ovule, the egg cell is present, they'll be saying ovule. So where the ovule is present, ovary. So where this ovary, what is the structures you have, where it is present, they will be answering all this. Then you say, yes. So it has, pistil has then it has stigma, then style, then ovary. Then you first draw the outline. Maybe wait, I'll just do it in my. I'll just do it so that it will be interesting. Otherwise, so I will just use the board and I will do it. Just a minute now.
My professor used to say, ma'am, being a biology staff, we should not feel lazy for drawing diagrams in board. You know
Yes,
that, but you have to expose that. That is the main
yes.
thing. Yes, ma'am.
In many places where what we do know, we think either it is very simple to draw it on the board, or we think that the student already know it. But
Yes, ma'am.
nowhere we should compensate that. So
Yes.
we have to,
We should
yes,
not
we have
hesitate.
to
Yes,
draw it
ma'am.
wherever. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So say for example, I will just draw. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So whenever we are drawing the diagrams, okay, if I'm asking where the pollen grain will go and land, so what the answer students will be giving? It will go and land on the stigma. So first, let us say that what are the parts that the pistil has? First, it has the stigma. Then it has a long, slender tube that is the style, and then it has ovary. We'll just tell them first. Okay, first give them this overall view. Okay, now just ask them where the egg cell is present. They used to say it is present inside the ovule. Okay, it is present inside the ovule. So in the ovule, what are the things we have? We have totally 8 cells. So this concept they'll be learning in higher classes. So just tell them it has 8 cells and 2 in the center. Again, this double fertilization concept not clearly given in our textbook. But at this level, it is not required. But you may just tell them, because even in our diagram, no, 2 male gametes is not represented. Only 1 male gamete is given. So need not go deep into double fertilization concept. Okay. Now you just tell them, yes, now you got the pollen grain that is landed. So you have exam. Now this pollen grain landed. So what it has to do? The male gamete has to reach this female gamete. So how it can reach? So it needs something to travel, right? How do you go from school to your home? You need something to travel. Similarly, here the male gamete is here. The female gamete is here. So it needs some transport mechanism. So how it can do it? So it needs to germinate one tube-like structure. So through the tube, it's like a road that connects your school and the home. Just tell them these kind of real-time examples so that they will be enjoying and understanding the concept in a better way. So then draw the pollen tube. Actually, even this is a wrong concept what we are directly drawing, because pollen tube first it won't be growing this much, and then won't the male gamete come. But theoretically, scientifically, if you are going, we can't do that in class 10 level, but still let them understand the basic concept. Now you have the male gamete present here. So now that started traveling. Okay, just tell them all this. So now it travels from here, it moves down. Just tell them it moves down. And if it is a blackboard, you can very well erase it and show the male gamete, it's moving down. Okay, ma'am, as I'm doing in the whiteboard, I'm not doing it. Okay. So you just tell them, okay, I just do it and show. Okay. Now, so the pollen, now the male gamete has reached this tip of the pollen tube, and that gets enter into the ovule and fertilization happens. So if you are just showing step by step, they will understand it in a better way rather than just drawing one diagram and explaining, okay, see, this is the stigma, this is the style, this is ovary, ovule. Instead of that, as you draw, you explain the concept. So that will be very, very informative to them, and they will also, whenever they are drawing on their notebook also, they will try to connect whatever you have just taught them in the class. So that will again strengthen the concept. So whenever you just ask them, they will be able to answer it. Even digestive system. So when you start with the digestive system, you just say that mouth. Okay, from the mouth it comes the food pipe. You just tell them and go step by step and talk about the food pipe. And food pipe ends in the stomach. So now when you have drawn the stomach, you just tell when the food has entered. Okay, when the food particle entered. So what happens? Immediately you have some mucus lining. Okay, you just tell them you have mucus lining inside the stomach. So why it has to be present? So we'll be discussing it. So once the food comes into the stomach, so the walls of the stomach secretes the HCl. Just tell them they spray HCl. So suppose I am just letting you know, teachers. These this is all not given, but when you are explaining, we know that we have seen quite a lot of video. Yes, we know that they used to show a lot of animations. Even this is the animated one where I've seen the video. They will be showing the peristaltic movement, and when the food comes, they will be showing that HCl is spraying on the food. Okay, and when the food is coming here, so it will be broken and they will show it as a small pieces. Even you can represent all that through the diagrams in the blackboard itself. They will understand it better, because we know that all the time it is not possible for us to show the video. Yes, either we may not have the smart board in our classroom, or it is difficult for us to take them to a computer lab. So just by traveling itself, some 10 minutes will be gone just to take them and make them sit in the lab, show the things, and again you have to take them out. So we can understand, every one of us has that disadvantage, delimitation. So what we can do is, you can see the video and wherever possible you apply this concept. Say for example, when we are doing this, they will be able to imagine, okay, the food is coming here, so the stomach is spraying the HCl and as well as the enzyme. So it just breaks down into smaller pieces. So when you are doing step-by-step diagram as well as along with that content explanation, that will reach the students in a better way. Okay. So diagram is a very effective tool. It's a very effective tool. So all the concepts, whatever given in our textbook, it can be easily explained using the diagram. So, so it is our job. Diagrams are given in the textbook. So don't teach them concepts and don't ask them to refer the diagram, or don't draw the standard diagram on the board and don't explain. So always go step by step. That will definitely have a very great impact on the teaching learning process. So that is one thing I just want to add on. So fine. So I'm just stopping here because this is one part of the session. So diagram, how we have to go about. Next part, we are going to discuss about the question paper pattern. So that is going to be somehow heavy because we have to be seriously discussing that. So before that, let us do a small activity. Okay. So this activity, again, general activity, you can do it in your class. As Saranya ma'am said, how the professor says to you, how your professor said, we should not hesitate to do the diagrams on the board. Similarly, we should not hesitate to do some kind of activities in our classroom. Say, for example, if it is kind of jumping activity, you should not say that, okay, I will be telling this, you have to jump. Don't do it. You can't jump too much, but you try to do it little bit, so they will also get the same interest. So it is a kind of action-oriented activity. So I want every one of you just to on your video so that everyone can enjoy, can relax for some time, and then we can go into the serious part of our session. Yes? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Tasni ma'am, Roshni ma'am. So that it will be interesting. Otherwise, it's like I am seeing my own video. Yes, fine. So this activity is readily available in YouTube also. Maybe later on also you can refer if you couldn't catch it up very soon. Okay. So it is called Peel Banana. The ice-breaking activity name is Peel Banana. Okay. It's a song along with some action. So whenever your students are very sleepy, okay, then definitely you can do it. But the problem also, I will tell you, every session they will request you to do it. So that is another problem you will be facing. just make them very clear whenever the lunch break, immediately after the lunch break, your session, if you are having, you can very well use this activity, so that will help us. So I used to tell them, whenever you are getting period after the lunch break, I will be doing this activity. Otherwise, I won't do it. So in that way, you also make it very strict. Otherwise, we'll be got into the trouble. Okay, fine. So just we have to keep our hands up. Okay, so just look ourselves as a banana. Okay, just I am closing my hand like this and just raising my hand. Okay, so now we have to say peel banana. That means we are peeling the banana. Okay, so peel banana. I'll just tell you and then we can do it together. Okay, peel banana, peel banana. Okay, after peeling, chop. So keep your hands like this. Chop banana, chop banana. Chopping. Okay, chop banana, chop banana. And then shake banana, shake banana. Actually, when we are standing in the classroom, you can do some kind of hip activity, or if you feel somewhat okay, I can't do in front of the student, then you can use your hand. Shake banana, shake banana, drink banana, drink banana. That's it. So if you're doing 2 times the same thing in the class, definitely everyone will be like super active and you can continue your session. So let us do it together. Okay, yes.
This
So
we
fine, shall we
regularly
do it?
do in our PP, I mean, junior block session, ma'am.
Super, ma'am.
Almost
Super.
all the classes
Kindly,
start with this exercise only.
yeah,
Children like it
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
kindly do it for higher class also. They will enjoy it. They will enjoy
Extend the
it.
time.
So now we are just moving on to a very important part of the session, that is the question paper setting, and what is being released by the CBSE. So I'll be sharing that, and it's very important part. So I will be maybe I won't be discussing I won't be discussing what is portfolio, all that in detail. What the contents are there. So what we are supposed to do for subject enrichment, what are the things that are included in that, all that I have just put in the slide. So you can refer that also for the future aspects. And one of the ma'am, I think she will be doing what is portfolio in her session. So I'm not going to touch in detail. Okay. So, but I'll be just sharing the ideas. Okay. Just a minute. Fine. So this is the pattern or curriculum that is given by CBSE by 2022 and 23. Yeah. So it is going to be a annual examinations, no term 1 and term 2 separation as like how we had for this year. So it is going to be 80 mark and the internal assessment 20 mark. How do we used to have pre-pandemic situation? Okay, so it's going to be the entire syllabus. Annual exam is going to be the entire syllabus. Here and there some deletions are there. Okay. Now, so it is 20 marks. So how we are going to kindly mute yourself, teacher, who is in unmute, so that others can listen to it very carefully. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So when it comes to internal assessment, so 5 marks goes for periodic tests. So we used to have periodic tests, 3 tests we used to have. In that, 2 tests, best 2 will be taking. And another 5 mark goes for diverse method of assessment. So this is what I told you. So these will be shared with you. So you can just refer it later. It can be short clip test, oral test, quiz. You can ask them to make some project, poster presentation, or some kind of debate in the classroom. It can be anything, any kind of assessment. That is for 5 marks. Another 5 marks goes for our practical, record, okay, and viva vote. So that goes for another 5 marks. So next 5 marks is the portfolio. So portfolio can be art integrated project. Okay, you can ask them to create some kind of assignments on certain topics or diagrams. Okay, all that comes under the portfolio. That will be dealt in detail by I think Akila ma'am will be doing in the upcoming session. Okay, so this is what 20 marks internal assessment. So this is the course structure given by CBSE class 9, and this is the weightage. I'm not going deep into it, teachers, because I will be sharing the PPT, so you can very well use this for the later purpose. Okay, so weightage and marks and all, I'm not going to touch in detail because everything is readily available. So here again, you can see cell lessons you have, basic unit of life. Okay, and here you can see again that cell cycle, mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis, meiosis. Okay, that is not specifically given here. It comes nucleus, chromosomes, basic structure, number. That's it. Okay, but if you really want to do it, you can do it, because in class 10th it's very, very important. So either you can do it here, take some extra period and you can do it here. Otherwise, you can do it in your class 10. But they have to know about the mitosis and meiosis. So kindly take some extra time. And similarly, whatever given in our textbook, mitosis, meiosis, that is not clearly given. So you have to spend extra at least 1 or 2 periods to give them a clear-cut idea what is mitosis and meiosis. So definitely it will take 2 extra periods whenever it is possible. If you feel like, I think class 9 is a better place than class 10. Class 10 will be focusing only in mode of board exam, but class 9 we can spend the 2 period and we can just teach them, so that it will be very, very useful for us. Next is tissues. Again, tissues, you will be teaching animal and plant tissues, so everything is there. And only 4 types of tissues in animals. That means the major category like epithelial, cardiac, muscular, so all that comes into the 4 types of tissues in animals. Then this time, last time we don't have this food production, the crop production lesson, but this time we have this plant and animal breeding, selection for quality improvement and management. So this lesson last year and previous year was not there, but this year they have included. And they have deleted why do we fall hill lesson, and this lesson, which is the another lesson, sustainable management, natural resources, I guess. Just a minute. Natural resources. Again, natural resources is just only for the internal assessment, where you can give the projects that you can consider for the portfolio. Okay. So these are the 3 lessons. Only these 3 lessons we have for the theory. Next, practical. Again, practical we have as like this, like last year how we had same onion peel, human cheek cells, and plant tissues and the animal tissues, prepared slides. So these are the only 2 practicals we have. This is for class 9. For class 10, again, so these are the whole chunk of the course structure, includes physics and chemistry, but here I have just included only bio part. Maybe if you are really in need of that, from the CBSE website itself, you can download this curriculum 2022 and 23, so that it will be common for science. So you can get that. Here I have just put only the biology part. So here again, we have life processes. Last time we were not having control and coordination. This time we are having that. And the reproduction lesson, how do organisms reproduce? Heredity is there, evolution is not there. Again, this time evolution not included, and our environment is there, and sustainable management is not there. Okay, so these are the lessons what we have and the deleted portion. So questions will be tested, that 80 marks will be tested from all these lessons, whatever has been mentioned here. And practicals, and similarly here we last time we were not having these practicals during COVID time. So this time they included the stomata peel and respiration. The respiration was also there last time. So these are the only 2 practicals. Last time we had hydra also, budding, okay, and in yeast also we had that, but this time they are not included. So we have only stomata and respiration.
Only for full portion, the 2 is enough, ma'am.
These 2 only this time they have included, ma'am, for biology. This is
2 alone is
the
enough.
recent updated one curriculum.
Okay.
2 alone we are supposed to do it.
Okay.
We have other practicals also, but as per the NCERT that thing
2 alone
release,
is included.
circular release, yes, these 2 alone included. Just a minute, just before. So this is one. So this you can other physics and chemistry teachers, you can download the curriculum 2022 and 23 from CBSE site, so you'll get an idea. Now this is common for all our class physics, chemistry, and science, bio. So when we are designing the paper, so it should be competencies what we are supposed to test is being given. Demonstrating knowledge and understanding has to be tested, that is 46%. Application oriented questions has to be tested 22%. Then formulate, derivations and all that kind of things, analyze, evaluate and create. So all that can be 32%. So now comes how do I know that, okay, what are the things I have to, how to set the paper, how to test the knowledge, how to test the understanding, how to test how they can apply the knowledge. So for that also, they have given a clear-cut terms for us. So these are the verbs. So we have learned the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So you have n number of action verbs. So here, the verbs also given to test the competencies. These are some suggested verbs which you can use to set the paper. You can ask them to state the law of dominance. Then you can ask them to name the process, or list three events or photos this is. So you can ask them, give some image, ask them to identify, define gene, or define what to say, ecosystem. Okay. Then when it comes to our environment lesson, suggest some measures to prevent usage of plastic, or suggest some methods um, how can we very well use the waste disposal method. So like that, you can ask the question. So that verbs also given, which comes under knowledge and understanding, which comes under like knowledge. So illustrate all the diagrams. You can ask difference between, okay, and justify the statement. All that comes in this. Interpret, analyze, compare. So all that, construct a food chain. Okay, so compare the food chain and food web. Okay, so all that comes in this part. So these are the verbs we can use to set the paper. Now comes very important part. So far, we haven't. Yes, Saranya ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please give me an example for setting a question for adapting, ma'am? Give me an example, ma'am, please, if possible.
Adapt, we mostly, okay, adapt a method, okay, adapt a method to dispose non-biodegradable substances. So they can still adapt, they can choose any one method like incineration, or how can we segregate the non-biodegradable substances. They can adapt any one strategy, and they can explain about it.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am? Yes. Okay. So next is, this one is very important, typology of questions. This is what I told. So far, we haven't received any question specific pattern, because last year what we had is different. How we will be having for the upcoming year, no idea. But he has given that this types of questions we will be having. That is very short answer, 1 mark question, then assertion and reasoning type of question, short answer, 2 marks, long answers. Long answers mostly it will be like combination of 2 to 3 questions. It is not like one single long answer. So most of the board questions you can see it will be a combination, like it will have subdivisions A, B, C. So long answer, then source-based, case-based, or passage-based questions. So again, we have two types. In term one, case-based question was different. In term two, case-based question was different. So I've just put both just for an idea, so that we may expect any type. So as he has introduced these two types, in the upcoming year, we may expect any one type, or it can be a combination of these two also. Okay, and internal charts approximately 33% has to be provided. So this is what the guidelines given by NCERT. So now let us see some examples. In how can we set some 2 marks? So 2 marks can be a direct 2 mark question, or have not concentrated in very short answers, teachers, because you will be very well able to do it. We will be able to do it. So just for an idea, I'm just sharing the idea, because we are all good in setting the papers. We know it. So I'm just sharing my idea. So how do we used to do it? So if you can also give your input how you used to do it in your schools also, so that it is just sharing of ideas. Okay, so I have not included a very short answer. So short answer, it can be a subdivision. So it can be a direct answer like define ecosystem, okay, or maybe define or difference between this dominant and the recessive trait, okay, or it can be a difference between sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction. So you may expect any 2 points. So it can be like that, or it can also have 2 subdivisions. Say for example, here in most of the places don't give the direct questions. Let you set the paper somehow in a difficult manner so that they can easily take through the board exam. So if you're directly giving very, very direct answers, they won't think at all. So when the board exam, suppose if they are getting any twisted questions, they can't handle. So wherever it is possible, give them some twisted kind of questions. And it should not have any ambiguity. Say, for example, here we are saying name the organism that causes Kala-Azar. Okay. And how is it different from amoeba in undergoing fission? So this question can be easily asked, like differentiate the fission between amoeba and leishmania. It's a direct answer. But here we are making the child to apply the concept. So I'm just asking the child to first identify the organism that causes Kala-Azar. So he has to first write the answer as leishmania, and then he has to differentiate leishmania with the amoeba. Suppose the child goes wrong here. What happens? Definitely the other part also gets affected. Yes, yes. But this is the clue. So amoeba, we are discussing about fission. So we have fission two organisms we are discussing, that is leishmania and amoeba. That is the clue for the student. So they won't be going wrong in it. Next, name the parts of rhizopus in which spores are formed. State the condition under which spores grow into a new individual. So in most places, we used to give 1 mark for this and 1 mark for this, and we can easily finish it off with 2 marks. But in board exam, mostly for this answer, we will be getting only half mark. Okay. So when we are setting the paper, we should also set in that manner so that the child also gets practice in writing the answers in a proper way. They won't restrict the answers. The major problem with this class 9 and 10, that too after this pandemic, they have lost the habit of writing. So they feel very lazy to explain the answer, to write the answer. So they are restricting their answers. They are not giving the full point. So we need to give lot of training to the upcoming set of students, upcoming class 9 and upcoming class 10. We have to provide them lot of practice. So kindly set papers in this format so that it will help them. So here again, one diagram based question. Identify the given diagram and label A and B. Mention the function of C. So for identifying half mark and labeling, again half and mentioning the function half mark. Next, state the functions of ovary and fallopian tube. So ovary, what is the function of ovary? So I'm just sharing the scoring key also here. You can see here for leishmania only half mark. So when they are differentiating this leishmania with the amoeba, you can see they will be writing definite orientation. That is the only keyword what we are expecting. So only half mark for it. And we are asking them to identify it and under which condition they will go. So half plus half. So this is the scoring key for that questions what I have just posted. So here again, for identifying that as a germination of seeds, half mark, labeling A and B half plus half, and then writing one function half mark. For the next question, function of ovary and fallopian tube, you can see that it produces eggs and secretes female sex hormone half plus half. And here again, egg is carried from the ovary to the uterus or womb through a thin fallopian tube, and it is the site of fertilization. Here two functions they are writing. So half plus half. Okay, so this is the example for 2 marks where we have used many terms like identify, state, mention, then again application, how is it different, naming. So these are certain words where which we used to test the understanding, okay, and knowledge. Shall I proceed, teacher?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I just put a few questions of assertion and reason type. So one actually assertion and reason type, it's really we have to focus more on this, because when the terms are one is true, one is false, no problem. Okay, but when both the statements comes true, then whether it is a correct explanation or not, when we are providing that kind of statements, we have to be very, very, very careful. So it's always better to go with our textbook. So in the textbook, whatever lines that we have, you can directly take that and you can modify it so that it will be very easy. You not search much on the net, and we don't have much assertion and reason type questions. Maybe term 2, term 1, towards the end, we had some Educart, Oswald and all, we had some samples, but not that much effective. So better is to just stick on to our textbook. So whatever lines that is given, you can directly take that, and it's like true or false. When one statement is true, another one is false, it's very easy to set. Okay, you will slightly change it and make it a false statement. So similarly, when you are taking two correct explanation, okay, see to that you are giving the correct sentence, and make sure if it is a correct, whether you just check once whether it is a correct explanation or not a correct explanation once or twice, so that there won't be any ambiguity in the paper. Okay, so let us take this example. You can see here, if the medium surrounding the cell has higher water concentration than the cell will gain water by osmosis. When a living plant cell gains water, the phenomenon is called plasmolysis. So I have taken the definition of plasmolysis, I've taken the phenomenon here and I've changed the sentence here, made it into false statement. So it's quite easy. We can take the same content from the textbook and we can make it into a false statement. So in these cases, it's very easy. A is true or is false. But when it comes to, again, I have taken the lines from the textbook and I've just given the same. So here, the inner lining of the intestine has tall epithelial cells. So in the textbook, you can see that we'll be talking about the columnar epithelium, which facilitates absorption and secretion. So why the inner lining of the intestine has this columnar epithelial cells is just for increasing or facilitating the absorption and secretion, which is given in our textbook. So I have taken that. First statement is the inner lining of the intestine. I'm just telling in intestine we have epithelial cells. So in the next reason I'm telling why do we have it is just for absorption and secretion. So that goes hand in hand. So both are true and it is the correct explanation of the assertion. Okay. So this is for assertion. So similarly, you can, so why I have specifically given these two kind of examples. Again, here you can see it can be A false and R true. So these kind of examples, these kind of questions you can easily make it. Here again, if I just want both has to be true, but it is not the correct. It means instead of columnar epithelium, I can give some other statement, which is true statement. Okay, teachers. So how can I make it a not correct explanation? Say, for example, when I'm talking about the inner lining of the intestine as tall epithelial cells, second statement, I need not talk about epithelial cells. I can talk about the cardiac muscle cells. Okay, I can talk about the striated muscle cells. I can talk about the neuron. Okay, so the second statement can be a true statement, but which is not in connection with the epithelial cells. So in that case, both will become true, but not the correct explanation. So that even that kind of question you can easily make it. When it comes correct explanation only, you have to think twice and then you have to frame the question. Otherwise, you can do it. Next case-based question. So we have two patterns. This is type 1. So what I have shown here is type 1. So in term 1, we had case-based questions with MCQs or all 4 very short answers. Second type, we had 1 mark, A is 1 mark, B 1 mark, C has internal choice and it is of 2 marks. That is type 2. So I'll be discussing both here. So type 1. So passage now. So from where I can take the passage? How can I frame the case-based questions? So how can you do it is, the best way to do it is, we know we used to get lots of MCQs. Yes, we have lots of resources to get the MCQs or very short answer, right? First, you take the question, because the case-based questions, the passage and the questions, the answers won't be there in the passage. So that passage that is given in the board exam is just for an idea that the questions are asked from this concept. Yes or no? Yes. So please don't spend much time on the passage. First, you frame questions. Say, for example, if I want to ask questions about the human digestive system, let me set the questions first. Okay, so let me take 4 very short answer kind of questions from that human digestive system, and then general general passage about human digestive system I can get from the net, or I can get from any other reference like Lakshmi Singh. So like that other publications and all we have, right, for class 10th or 9th. So we can take some information from that textbook and we can give it as a passage. So best way to set the case-based question is just go with the questions first and then go for the passage. I usually do like that because we are not going to take questions which has answers in the passage. Yes. So it's better to set the questions first and then go for the passage so that your job will be done in an easy and smooth way. Yes, teacher. So this is small suggestions. This is how I used to do. So that is, I'm just suggesting. It's not that you have to follow it. This is suggestions of what I used to do it. And I find it very easy also. So some questions. So type 1 had all, I'm not going much deep into it. So yeah. So it can be like this also. So passage, you have questions. Suppose in between for some question I want to add some more image. You can add image. Image for this question will be related to this graph or related to a particular image. So case-based question can also be done in this way. Yes. So first type has all MCQs. Okay. So say for example this one. So the passage, okay, so you can see the passage is about respiration. Okay, you can see here. So it is generally for starts life process and it is about the respiration. So we are talking about the respiration, that flow chart, and graph is given, aerobic, anaerobic, and again process breakdown of glucose, where it takes place. And fourth one, again I'm giving, as it is respiration based, I'm giving one more image here. And I'm asking questions related to this image. So it can be like this also. Case-based questions can be given in this manner also. Next type. Type 2, that is what has been tested in term 2. Am I okay, teacher? Shall I proceed with type 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So type 2, again, so you can see the growing size of the human population is a cause of concern. So can you identify from which part of the lesson I just want to test? Which part?
Reproductive health.
Reproduction.
Yes, so you can see about the rate of birth, death, and you can also see about various contraceptive devices. So it is a general paragraph about the reproductive health. So the questions here, type 2, term 2, we have questions. It is not MCQ, all are very short answers. I mean, not all. First two, that is A and B, are very short answer type, that is 1 mark type, whereas C has internal choice. The internal choice is only for the C part. So I just tested in this way. So name is sexually transmitted diseases which damages the immune system of the body. So the answers they don't have here. So they need to talk about the A and which contraceptive method can prevent this disease. So they can go with the barrier method. So next question, why is child sex ratio declining at an alarming rate? So reckless female feticide is the answer. And third one, how do oral pills act as contraceptive measure? This is 2 marks. And again, as the internal choice, again what is given is what are the factors that determine the size of the population and what are the most important reasons that have been identified for poor living standards. So this again 1 plus 1, 2 marks. So C part alone is of 2 marks type. Remaining A and B are 1 mark type. So this is type 2 case-based question. So again, you can set the question from the reproductive health part and then you can go for the passage. Yes, teacher. So far we have covered short answers and assertion reason and case-based question. So I've just put marks split up. Okay. So here it is 2 mark. Why? Because they need to talk about changing the hormonal balance. Okay. And this carries 1 mark and they need to say that eggs are not released and fertilization cannot occur, half plus half. So this answer can be of 2 marks. Yes. So these are the split up of marks. Next 3 marks. So I just want to put one heredity based question. how can we, it's been difficult to check a split up of marks for this heredity based question, because when they are working out the cross, it's very difficult. So just to give an idea, I just put this question. So you can see here, when you are testing, you just make sure this front part where they are representing parents, gametes, okay. So all that carries 1.5 marks. If they are going somewhere wrong, you can reduce marks accordingly. And Punnett square, you give 1 mark, and the ratios, phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, half plus half you can give. So this can be tested for 3 marks. Okay. Next 5 marks. No, 3 marks. So because we don't have 5 mark pattern as of now. So what is an ecosystem? Again, don't give direct questions. Like one question, if they write, they will get 3 marks or 5 marks. Please don't give in that way, because if they are not thorough in one particular part, they will lose the whole 3 marks. Okay. So it's always better to have subdivisions in the question. It's both writing part also easy, as well as correcting part also becomes easy. And even in the board exam, we are getting questions in this pattern. So what is an ecosystem? Or you can ask, define ecosystem. Okay, that is 1 mark. And draw a labeled diagram to illustrate the flow of energy in an ecosystem. Always for the diagram, you have to allot marks, and for the labeling part. Okay, so here for the proper drawing sequence, you can give 1 mark, and for the proper arrow and the things that I've written, you can give another 1 mark. So I think, yeah. So next 5 marks, this recently we don't have 5 marks, but previous year papers we had 5 marks. So I just want to give one question just for an idea. So 5 marks, if it is a diagram based question, they may ask us to label the parts, and they may ask us to add the functions of each. Okay, so half plus half, it can be like that. Okay, identifying the parts half mark, and writing their function half mark. So this is one such direct questions. Again, you can see they won't be writing too much. So that kind of questions we won't be getting. So 5 marks, you can see again, subdivision, they ask define menstruation and fertilization, and then mention the functions of the scrotum and the placenta, name any 2 sexually transmitted diseases. So even if it is going to be a 5 marks, it has to be done in this way. It has to have some subdivision, so that the children won't lose marks in one such question.